Okay, welcome back. I'm gonna try and think of the best way to start doing these intros. I think I tend to do a very kind of jumbled all over the place. I start with manifestation. I kind of rant about a story. I introduce myself kind of. I want it to stay mildly consistent. Hi, how you doing? My name's Dominic. I'm trying my best to give you the information not only about manifestation, but give you a little bit of insight into who I am. I think it might help elicit some trust. It might make you feel, I don't know, a little bit more connected, knowing more about me, as opposed to me just spouting out, hey, just believe that it'll happen. Just know that you're in that space. Just, no matter how sad you are, just smile and it'll get better. That kind of stuff. I think that people tend to overlook how, I don't want to say difficult, but how, if you're in a particular place, it might be hard for you to lift yourself out of it. That's kind of the purpose of the community that I want to build. I want everybody to be able to help lift each other out of a space. So while I understand and while it is true, you are the person that lifts you out of the way that you're feeling. I made another video. Man, I'm not sure where it's going to come out in relation to this. They might all come out in order, in which case it's going to be interesting tracking when I say this in videos. But I made another video where I said, if you go out somewhere, you're having fun with people, you and your friends, great time, high energy, it's a great time. You then do the same thing. There's at least one person low energy. They don't want to be there. They're thinking about, how expensive it is. They got drunk last time. Now they're like super worried about drinking, whatever it is. You're going to feel the difference. I understand that it's really important to be able to do all of these things that you want to be able to do, to be able to manifest on your own, be able to say, hey, this person that I really want and, I really care about, I want them in my life and, I'm the best version of me. They're going to be the best version of them. And that best version of them is going to be the best version of what I want because I attract the best versions of things to me. And that's true. You do attract the best versions of things to your reality. You do. You also, though, can attract the worst versions of things. So because life has a duality and because human invention, human conversation, human ingenuity is kind of malleable. It's dependent on what era you're in. It's dependent on what side of the planet you're on. It's not all the same. So just because you might feel something is okay. So like, let's say you think, okay, having money is completely okay. You're in the mindset, you're living in the wish fulfilled and you're, law of attraction. I, put out the intention, it's going to come back to me. Vibration is, Bob Proctor, Neville got it. You're like, hey, I'm here. I'm in, I'm locked in the zone. I'm getting it. I'm going to win the lotto, whatever the thing is. That's possible. It is, because that's the reality that you're pushing for. That is definitely possible. And staying in that mentality and staying in that energy and staying in that vibration is definitely something that will bring things to you. But it's also possible to be in a state where everything around you, you're focusing on the negative things. So the idea of, let's say, like limerence, you're idealizing somebody. It's a relationship. It's your ex. It's somebody who you've never dated, someone who you've always wanted to date. You've always been really like, oh, if I had that person, my life would be complete. But there's just something that's keeping it just outside of your attainment. And you're like, okay, well, like now my life is miserable. Like I can't have anything because I don't have that person. Like if I had that person, great, everything works out, my life is better, the roses smell better, food tastes more delicious. But now if I don't have that person, I can't experience life. I can't have joy, I can't have happiness. And it's going to be difficult to manifest the person you want, the situation that you want, living in that headspace. Because what you're doing is telling the universe it's not possible to have this person because of all of these things that make them too far outside of what I can have. No matter how you try and say the words, your intentions are going to say that person's too much. That's what's bringing you down. That's what's causing that sadness. That's what's causing that mild depression, as it were. And most manifestation teachers, you listen to people on YouTube, you listen to the Bob Proctors, again, Neville Goddards, they're going to say things like, hey, you're going to have to be in the wish fulfilled. And that's not just words. It's not just saying, hey, my wish is fulfilled. I won the lotto. I am in love with this amazing person and they love me back and we're going to get married. It's not just saying those things. It's truly accepting it. The thing that I think a lot of people struggle with is, oh, well, I really want the person, so I have to desperately show them that I need them. I need to desperately show them how much I need to be around them. I need to prove that I want them. I got to fight for them, right? I think that people misunderstand that idea. I think people think that fighting for someone means just doing what they say. And if you've ever experienced anything with any person, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that people are going to want more. So let's say you have a friend, right? Let's move it away from relationship for a second. Let's say you just have a friend. Hey friend, how's it going? Oh, it's going fine, friend. How have you been? It's going great for me, friend. I recently got a job and I really love my job. Oh my God, what's your job? I'm a, executive assistant for this really wonderful company and they have great time off and all this other stuff. Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, and I also make more money than I've ever made in my life. I'm able to pay all my bills, I'm able to get a new car. I ended up moving into this beautiful new house. Everything is great. Okay. I'm not saying for everyone, but for a lot of people, that feeling state is only going to last but so long because they're going to get accustomed, acclimatized to that reality. And then they're going to start saying like, well, okay, I get time off, but I heard about this other company where I would get an extra week off, or I'm doing the same job as somebody else who I met at, let's say, a conference, or, interacting with other businesses who they make like almost double what I make. And then you're going to feel this lack. You're going to feel this feeling of longing, of this potentially even feeling like you're being manipulated, you're being taken advantage of. Oh, I'm not getting paid as much. Oh, I'm not getting the same as other people. And because of that feeling, because of the ability for humans to get to that point, feeling like the person that you are actively pursuing, the person that you actively need, you just have to prove something to them, you're never going to prove enough. If they are not happy themselves, you are never going to prove enough. You just aren't. You're going to constantly be in a relationship if it's not money, if it's not kids, if it's not health, if it's not location, whatever, something will be the new problem. I'm telling you this from both personal experience and from just talking to people and seeing other people's relationships. Because a lot of times what will happen is you'll be in a great honeymoon phase. It's great. You get to see the person. Oh my gosh, it's so spectacular. And then you'll start to notice over time the little things that people call the ick, the, pet peeves, red flag, whatever. And it'll be the things where they'll be like, yeah, it's really nice that we go on vacations. And yeah, we went to Bermuda, or yeah, we went to Hawaii, or yeah, we did whatever. But oh, we flew coach, or oh, we did this. And oh, there were people in first class. And oh, there was this. And oh, when we got to the resort, we didn't do these fancy restaurants. We only did this. And because it was all inclusive, or whatever the things are, there'll be things where you're like, it was nice, but it could have been better. And I'm not saying that anyone should ever feel like they have to settle, that they can't have more. But every single time that I've ever experienced anything, and I'm thinking from childhood up till the age I am now, the true joy, the true enjoyment of the situation was existing in it. It wasn't expecting anything from it. It wasn't saying, this is supposed to be, and then fill in the blank. It was just, I'm here. I'm here, I'm happy. That's it. And it was wonderful. Going to Six Flags, going on vacations, seeing friends. Sometimes it was just hanging out with people. I used to live in New York City in the middle of Manhattan. Sometimes it was just sitting outside of Central Park, eating a slice of pizza with friends, and we were just talking for like hours. And it was amazing. It was absolutely wonderful. I genuinely have fond memories of it. But for a lot of people, it's like, oh, well, I was just sitting and it was just pizza and it wasn't this fancy restaurant. And I heard about this really nice restaurant that was around the corner. Why didn't I go there? That would have been a better time. It could have been, perhaps. If you wanted it to be a better time, you went there with the intention of it being a better time and you just had fun, sure, maybe that was a better time. But it's not always the same for everybody. And because of that, if you don't live in a state where your happiness isn't dependent on another person, and I'm going to say this because I think sometimes when people hear this, when they hear limerance, they hear manifesting your SP, they hear, oh, I have intention for this person, but that person has intention for someone else, or that person, I want this person, but they're dating other people, or I want this person, but somebody else wants the same person. The reality is there are two competing but also equally important realities existing. One, where you are an amazing person, you deserve happiness, you deserve joy, and I understand if there's a particular, like just one person, not just like an archetype of a person, but one person that you want, it is hard to see them dating, to see them with somebody else. But if you can accept, I care for this person. I want this person in my life. I want to see, and I see a future with this person, right? Saying that makes it difficult to then also say, but if they're with someone else, I'm happy because I want them to be happy and I am truly happy and fulfilled in my life. I know that the highest version of myself, the highest point that I could ever possibly get to, is going to be a version of myself who is able to accept everything. And not accept it as a personal attack, not accept it as a, oh, this person's doing these things to harm me, to hurt me, anything like that. Just purely, I accept. Okay. So with a lot of people, at least people that I've talked to, people that I've seen going through a lot of this, are saying, oh, well, the person that I want doesn't seem to want me, or even actively, they're actively pursuing other people. So I've just got to let them go and I got to move on to someone else. What I think people, I would say tend to miss, but like what I think people don't seem to realize, one with, again, the whole Limerance, like the obsessive focus on a person or thing. I mean, it can be a thing too. It could be like money, it could be a house, whatever. I think with a house and money, it's a little different because money and houses are like tools, are just things, and they don't really usually have any emotional response back to you. People can, so that makes it a little bit different, like it's charged a little differently. And again, it's not like Magic the Gathering or Harry Potter or something like that, where it's like, oh, like I have a higher level spell, or like in Magic, like, oh, I have a +5, so I have a better spell than you, and like I can block and defend. That it's not like that. Everything is both equal, but then separate, and then intertwines and commingles. It's complicated and it's not really taught. So I think that in general, when people try and find it, there's a bunch of information swirling around and people feel like they're drowning. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier to understand, which is why I'm going to make so many videos so that you watch it as a progression, and then it maybe makes a little bit more sense. Maybe this is the 15th video of mine that you've seen, because this is earlier than other ones I'm sure I'll make. And maybe you see this one going backwards in videos and you're like, oh my gosh, that's stuff that he was talking about in the other video, and now it makes a little bit more sense. Great. Welcome. Thanks for watching videos. It's when you get to a point where you're in love, with money, with a house, with whatever it is, you have to accept what love is, right? So you have to accept the unconditionality of love. And you have to accept what that obsessive need and that draw for that person really means within you. Just jumping from thing to thing. So like, let's say it's a house. You really want a house. You're like, well, I really want that house. I really want to manifest that house. If you're like, okay, well, that one's not going to work out, so I'm just going to move to another house. It's then hard to say that you think you're actually going to get that first house that you wanted, because you're just jumping from house to house. So the universe is like, okay, so you don't want that thing, so like let's move direction. So let's say it was potentially going to take 3 weeks to get to that house. If you stop after 2 weeks, now you got to start over again in 3 weeks in the new house. The same thing with a person. I don't ever want to say that I think people should be alone. I don't, because loneliness is a lot. But I think that for most people, loneliness is really hard because they're dealing with and grappling with things that they don't want to sit with, like being by themselves, not with anybody else, again, just alone in a room, and they're able to find joy, right? Like true joy. Like I could be by myself. I could just hang out with my friends. I could hang out with my family. I could just hang out by myself and just like play a board game, play solitaire, whatever, read a book, do a crossword puzzle. I could be happy, find joy. A lot of people will say, well, I can't do that. I want this other person. This person doesn't want me. I don't think they're doing enough for me. I don't think it's where it should be. I'll just go find somebody else. Somebody available. Somebody will be able to do something. Oh my gosh, I feel amazing. Somebody's showing me attention. I mean, that's true. I'm not saying the person isn't showing attention. But when they're showing attention, it's very possible that it's also going to fall apart. Because usually, and this is, I could be wrong. Again, comment below if you, how dare you don't know nothing. That's not how it works. But usually you've been in relationships before where you've had affection, or the person's had affection for you, and it's been great. You've had great moments, and then it sours. There is a lot of personal self-work. Again, why I want to create the community of people supporting each other and us talking to each other and trying to build and help each other grow. If there's any sort of sadness within you, if there's any sort of feeling of being incomplete, and again, I'll reference the word limerance again, because a lot of times, if you grew up in any point where you felt like your parents, siblings, whatever, did not show you affection, did not make you feel validated, it's very easy to fall into limerance. You emotionally attach. It's the idea of like daddy's girl or mama's boy or whatever. Like they didn't show you the validation that you were looking for, so you're like locking onto that. You're like, hey, this person who I idolize didn't give me enough of what I was looking for. Because, like, let's say, oh, it's, they loved me and gave me and showered me with gifts and stuff, so that's how I see love. But then they didn't give validation that I could just be okay and loved by myself and, like, within myself. So now you're putting every person you go towards on a pedestal. So let's say they buy you a bunch of stuff, but then they're really, really mean to you. Like, they treat you terribly. They call you horrible names. They, degrade you. You're going to constantly be in this vicious cycle of, like, but I thought it was almost there. Like, they had all these qualities, all these attributes that made me feel like I was getting close. Usually, when you want something, you will have it. And I say usually only because, again, the universe does not work in words. It's not your conscious mind. It's everything is subconscious. It's all of your current reality is how your subconscious brought everything together. So your person that you're with, your amount of money, your bank account, where you live, it is all the culmination of all of your subconscious, intentional, vibrational, energetic work that has led you to where you are. You can move, you can shift, you can change course, and sometimes you can skip steps. People do it all the time. And I think that also might be why people are a little, I won't say jaded, but I think sometimes people have this idea of, like, oh, well, it shouldn't be that hard. I know people where it was easy for them. And I'm not denying that for some people it could be easier. There are people that I've met that it seems like it just works out for them. In fairness, I can't 100% say I know everything they're going through. So I don't know every breakup they've had. I don't know every financial issue they've had. I don't know all their health. I don't know inherently everything. I can only know what they tell me. But sometimes, the same way that, if you like a certain, let's say, beauty YouTuber or fitness YouTuber or whatever, you see what they put out. So if you see them, hey, 3-month transformation, and you see they're overweight and then they're really fit, and you're like, oh, 3 months is for me. You don't necessarily know what they did to diet. You don't know what they did to work out. You don't know what their ups and downs were with, their emotions and whatnot. There are lots of YouTubers that I've seen, fitness specifically with this example, who are like, yeah, I'm willing to come out and be honest about the fact that, yeah, okay, fine, I did a 30-day, or not 30-day, maybe like 3 month, or even a 30-day cut. I'm super shredded, whatever. I need to be honest. That entire time I was miserable. I didn't like myself. I was snapping at everybody. I was really depressed. But, like, once it came to, I need to, do photo shoots so I can make money and, brand deals and whatever. Yeah, I'll drink some water and dehydrate myself, or not drink some water. I'll not drink water so I can dehydrate myself, work out a bunch so I look super shredded, put on some oil and the right lighting. And yeah, everybody loves me, thirst traps. Okay, fine. But at the end of that day, if what you're doing is internally or even externally, just like weeping, because you're just like, this is too much for me. A lot of times people don't see that because people are like, I don't want to see the struggle. Nobody wants to see somebody struggle. I want to see you win. People do see the struggle, and, tabloids, all that, they kind of relish in the struggle, and, even like politics and stuff, sometimes they relish, oh yeah, that other person, they're terrible. My team says your team's awful. But in general, people want to see the winning. People want to see the Oprahs. They want to see the Tom Cruises, the Will Smiths, that when they're succeeding, like, hey, they're doing great. They're getting all these movies. They're getting all these roles. They're making all this money. People don't want to see the, like, Britney Spears. They don't want to see the, Lindsay Lohans, like, when they go down, because they're like, oh, I got my heart broken. Oh, this is something that happened to me where, like, it really deeply, genuinely affected me, and, like, I am breaking, and I'm breaking publicly. And then people are like, oh, how dare you break? You have money and stuff. The idea. And I've had this conversation with my kids. I've had this conversation with friends. I have this conversation with anyone who's willing to listen. The idea that people make it seem like if you have money, you have no problems is the weirdest conversation I've ever heard. Because that's like saying, like, well, if you breathe a lot, you should never complain. I mean, okay, but what if it's raining and now I'm soaking wet and I'm cold? Like, I can't say I'm cold because, like, I'm still able to breathe because money's just a thing. Like, it's a fake thing. This is going back to a bunch of, again, I don't know if this is forward or backward, whatever, but it's a fake thing that we all put value in, and we're saying that thing makes people something. It doesn't do anything to anyone. The only thing that money has ever done in history is show you who you're dealing with. It is the ultimate veil dropper, as it were. So if you know somebody, and you want to truly, truly know them. Like, know them at their best, know them at their worst. You need to take them on two sides of the same like coin. It's the duality that I talk about in a lot of other videos. Make them broke, make them rich. You're going to see the kind of person they are. If they're somewhere comfortable, you'll get an idea of like the mask that they put on for society, trying to be, you know, civil towards other people. Oh, hey, you know, laughy jokey. Oh, everything's fine. That's what you'll see. If they're really, really broke, you'll see desperation. And people in desperation do desperate things. And a lot of times it'll feel personal. Like if you have a friend who's in a desperate situation, they're, you know, unhoused, they don't have a house, they're sleeping on people's couches, they're asking you to sleep on your couch, they're, you know, whatever's going on, you might see them in a point and be like, oh, like they're not even really trying, they're not making an effort. Think about the last time you were super hungry, or you weren't sure that you were going to have a roof over your head, right? And if you live, you know, with roommates, live at home, live with a partner, whatever, if you have a, let's just call it stable situation, think about taking that away. And then every day you're like, I don't know if I will have a roof over my head. And then add to that, I don't know if my phone will be on. I don't know if I'll have food. I don't know. Just like list it, because survival. That reaction is going to make people act in a way that's not going to be conducive to society, because they're not concerned with society anymore. They're like, everybody else can go do whatever they want. Everybody else seems to be succeeding. I'm over here struggling and nobody seems to care. So I'm just going to do what I got to do so I can survive. So the things they'll do, again, will seem to other people kind of selfish, because they'll be like, oh, well, like, you're not spending time with me as my friend. Oh, as a family member, like, you're not, you know, doing X, Y, and Z, whatever. It's like, right, but I'm trying to survive. So let's say it's a family member. Let's say it's, you know, your mother, daughter, son, uncle, whatever, and they're really struggling. And they're like, oh, man, I really would love to hang out, but I can't hang out with you on your birthday because I got to work. So I'm, you know, doing Uber. I'm doing, you know, odd jobs. I'm mowing people's lawns, whatever, just so I can make ends meet. I'm not gonna be able to do anything, and I can't get you a present. You can be like, oh, come on, you just told me you're work. Like, you can't do something for me? Like, I thought we were family. It's not because it's an attack on you. It's because of the situation, the place they're at. On the other side, give people a bunch of money, which, again, helps drop that veil, and tell them, you don't have to care about what anybody says anymore. Do what you want. Like, you can go vacations, you can date whoever you want, you can eat whatever you want, you can sleep, you know, wake up, you can do whatever you want. How do you want to act? Like, if somebody acts a way to you that you feel is even slightly disrespectful, how would you treat them? If somebody does something that you think is, you know, not the societal norm or not okay or whatever, like, how are you going to react? Like, you don't have to pretend anymore, because that's what a lot of society is, like, being nice for the sake of, like, keeping up appearances, making other people feel good. You don't have to do any of that anymore, because you have money. You can do whatever you want. You could move to another place. You don't have to worry about anything that anybody says. How are you going to now act, knowing that you don't have to be concerned with how other people are going to react to you? You can just do whatever you want. A lot of people are going to say very weird, very, like, I don't say mean things, but like very honest things that are going to make you think, oh, well, the money made them say that. The money made them the kind of person that's like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to hang out with you. You want to go on this vacation? I'm not going on that vacation because I don't want to fly coach, and they don't have any first class tickets, and the hotels there are all terrible, or I know that city and it's never fun during this time of the year. It's only fun in the rich time where, you know, it's the best, like, you know, weather and the restaurants, and, you know, the crowds aren't, whatever it is. They're going to seem like they've changed, but they haven't changed. It's just who they were. It's just money's making it easier for them to be that person and not have to be concerned with how you interpret what they're now saying to you. And that's going to be very rough, because a lot of people are going to say, well, but that's not true. Like, my friend would never treat me like that. My friend would never tell me no to my birthday, to a vacation, to doing something. My boyfriend, my girlfriend, whoever, they love me. They would go out of their way to do things. They'd spend every last dime and cent on me. If they're really broke, they probably won't, because they're concerned with eating. And if they can't eat, everything else kind of drops to the wayside. Like, it's just, I won't say not important, but it's not a priority. And again, it's not a personal attack. It's not like, oh, I don't care about you because I'm not eating. It's like if you're crashing in a plane, if your thought process, and let's say this, if you're on a plane and the plane's crashing, the mask drop, and you're like, oh, he doesn't care about me. She doesn't care about me. They don't care about me because they didn't put my mask on me first. Again, building a community, we need to talk. Because if your main concern is that someone else isn't taking care of you first, especially in like a dire, like life or death situation, we can talk. Like, that's why I want to build this community. We need to talk. We need to support each other, because you need to love yourself enough to know you have to take care of yourself before you can ever take care of anybody else. Like, you have to have that emotional, that stability, that self-care. Okay. So all of this ranting is to say, for anyone who needs to hear this is one of those, if this video found you, welcome. I hope that you're having a great day, a great life, a great situation. If you're not, maybe this found you so that you can listen to it. If you're here until now, hi, you stayed. That's great. But if you're here till now, maybe this is one of those situations where you hear something and you're like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I did kind of think that the person hated me, or that they were doing this intentionally to like say things to me, or be like mean or whatever. But okay, I mean, I guess I could see how it would be a little hard if they're in their situation they're in. And not to say you have to like give everybody that you know a pass, like family members, friends, again, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, whatever. Yes, everybody's going through things, and yes, they should be concerned with not affecting the mood of the other people around them. But again, people are in survival mode, or they're, just not processing their traumas from the past. They're potentially doing things that may not be like inherently an attack on you. Okay. The other thing I'll say, if you are in a situation right now where you are with someone, let's say you're in a relationship, you're at the beginning of a relationship, you are potentially near the end of the relationship, you're married, you're thinking about divorce, whatever. I am not saying stay in your situation. I don't know your particular situations. If you'd like to comment below, first of all, if you'd like to comment below like your whole situation, fine, I'll read it. We can talk about it. Again, we'll build a community, we'll all talk about it. Not like talk about you, but like talk about the situation, like maybe try and help build each other up. But if you're in a situation where it feels like it's close to the end, it feels like, why am I still doing this? What is this person giving me? This person isn't showing up enough for me. I would venture to say, and this is going to be hard to hear, maybe take some time alone. And I don't mean like break up with the person, like maybe like a day or two, a week, whatever. Like take some time alone. Hey, I just need some time. I need to like self-reflect. I need to think about how I'm presenting or how I'm bringing the version of myself to this. I need to think about how you're bringing the version of you to this. And I need some distance to be able to not take any of that personally. Because when you're in a situation, and I've experienced it as well. When you're in a situation, it is very, very hard to calm down the fires of passion when you feel something very intensely towards somebody. So I'll say this again. If you are currently in that situation, maybe you just need a second. That's not go on a date. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'll say this because I personal experience, like people I know, like this is not a good idea. Do not go out dating. I don't care if it's somebody invites you on a date, they're just being nice because they know you're going through something bad. I don't care if it's, somebody inviting you to do something, like, even if it's not necessarily dating. Let's say you're with somebody and they want to take you somewhere, like a movie, whatever, right? And then you're like, oh, I don't want to go to the movie. You guys are getting an argument, blah, 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 whatever. Or they don't have time to go to the movie, blah, blah, blah. And someone's like, oh, we'll go to a movie. Maybe go alone, or maybe go in like a group. Going on dates, and I'll say that this is more specifically for relationships, going on dates has the potential, even if you may not have intentional, like, I'm trying to date this person, I'm trying to be with this person, whatever, the way it's going to come across, what it's going to potentially adversely do to your situation is potentially going to cause a huge, massive rift. Not to say it can't be overcome, but it's potentially going to cause a problem. And depending on the situation, who you're with, how you handle it, it may actually end the situation. Now, if that's what you intend to do, if that's how you want to handle your relationship, I can't stop you. Do what you want to do. You live the best life you want to live. But I would argue maybe talk to the person, let them know what's going on. And I don't mean talk to them like scream and yell at them. I don't mean you're terrible, you're not doing enough, do better. And then be like, well, I told them and they didn't do it. That, let somebody attack you and then be like, that's reason for me to change and I'll be a better person. Like, usually you get attacked, you're like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I think I'm doing all right. Like, I'm trying. And you're not going to see that as like, I don't say a catalyst, but like necessarily reasons like, oh, I'm changing right now into who you want me to. You're like, oh, you're just attacking me because you're dealing with stuff. And like, I don't know how to process both those at the same time. I want all of us to be honest with each other, be honest with ourselves, self-reflect, and then put out into the world the best version of us that we possibly can. I want this community to be kind to each other. If somebody puts something in the comments about what they're going through, I would prefer you guys don't have judgment. If I see a comment where it's like, hey, here's what I'm going through, help. someone says that, fine. But this is what I'm going through. If people start commenting negative stuff, I'm going to try and delete the negative. Like, we don't need that. Like, that's, they could get that potentially from the people they're around. Like, they don't need you to reinforce negative stuff. I'm not saying be positive to pretend like nothing bad ever happens, but like, we're trying to find solutions in this community, not fester in the problems. So I'm going to end it there. Again, all that I want for all of you. Again, I don't know a lot of you yet. And then again, because of where this video is and everything, I don't know a lot of you yet, but I know that you're worthy of being happy. I know that you're worthy of feeling like a complete and full person and being loved, and that you should love yourself enough to know that you deserve what it is that you're looking for in life. I can't wait to continue this journey, to see what the community becomes, what it turns into. And I hope that you have an amazing day, that you are able to both manifest the tangible, physical, financial things, the house, the job, the relationship. Hey, person I care about, maybe we need like a day or two, maybe we need like a week. I'm just going to do some self-reflecting. I'm not talking to anybody else. You're not talking to anybody else, but like, maybe we just need some space. We got to figure this out. Got to come back together, love each other, build, grow, or say, hey, we're done. That's it for now. Maybe in the future, who knows? But again, I'll say, anytime someone's ever been in a relationship, and this is what I'll leave you all with. Think of a time that you've known someone in a relationship and they've ended the relationship. And this is, TV, movies, personal relationships, If anyone's ever been in a relationship, the relationship has ended, and the other person has started dating, tell me if you think that the person that they started dating was the reason why it ended. Right? So like, if they start dating someone within like a week, 2 weeks, a month, it's going to feel intentional. Like, oh, you just broke up with me to be with that person. So I would say maybe just like take time. And I'm not saying go hang out with friends. Hang out with all your friends. Do fun stuff. Hang out with your family. If you have dogs, pets, whatever, do fun stuff. But getting into another relationship, especially if you feel like you're in a relationship that isn't working, I'm being honest. And that's what I want for everybody. Being honest, it's probably not the best idea. So again, thanks for staying for this long. This turned into a much longer video than I thought it was going to. But again, I hope you are having an amazing life. You continue to push forward and to grow and to build the energetic and vibrational fortitude to be able to move yourself and to accept yourself in the version and into the reality that you want to exist in.